I've had struggled with anxiety issues most of my life. And so anything that can kind of throw a wrench into that is really something that I'm not interested in.
I don't think I knew that. You said you've had trouble with anxiety issues in your life?
For sure. Yeah. Something that I always struggled with and always affected me. And the first time I can remember is probably middle school up to kind of the end of college. And I still have, my moments for here and there, but it's something that I've learned about and something that I've been able to get a hold of. So it's been great to kind of felt free from those things for a long time now. So.
Well, I would say, and that's no small accomplishment to overcome anxieties, and particularly when you have anxieties to the extent you can call them attacks. You said that you still have some echoes of that from time to time. Could you give an example? I mean, is it anxiety about a performance or something personal?
Well, it's more, so it's kind of like a unique form of OCD that I have. It's called purely obsessional OCD, which is like, I know when you see people that have OCD, you think of them like messing with the blinds or straightening the carpet, or essentially my version of fixing the blinds or straightening the carpet are kind of thoughts that I play over and over in my head. Like, for example, it kind of comes in waves. Like it'll be something about my health. Like I'll be worried that I'm having, I'll be worried that I'm about to have a heart attack or a stroke, and it's like it becomes like this very obsessive thing that you literally can never have an answer to. And so that's kind of the awful part of it, is that you really have to be comfortable. You have to teach yourself to becoming comfortable with the fact that you'll never get an answer and that it is a super uncertain thing. And so that's what I particularly have struggled with. And so sometimes that's tough, but it's something that you learn about yourself, and arming yourself with the knowledge of exactly what's going on is the most important thing I've found.
Well, Luke, as you were describing that, and I appreciate your discussing it, and I think the audience will appreciate you being open about it, being candid about it. But you're in a place now, man, every day you are inhaling super NASA-grade rocket fuel for the ego.
Sure.
How do you keep that in perspective? There's a real danger that you will get so arrogant and so conceited within yourself that you'll lose yourself.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's something that I've, from day one, have always tried to keep in check, and I think that starts with the people around you. But number one, my fiance is the best person in the world for keeping me in check. She makes fun of me all the time, which is really great. That's really great for me. I need that. But then I have, I'm still really great friends with all of my best friends from high school, a bunch of my good friends from college, and all of my friends that I kind of hang out with here in Nashville are, my buddies that I wrote songs with 5 or 6 years ago, that none of us had publishing deals or record deals or any money in our bank accounts. And I really do believe that I'm, in no way different or better than anyone else. I'm not smarter than anyone else because I'm successful. I'm not better than anyone else or more worthy of anything than anyone else because I'm rich or famous or noteworthy or have the ability to reach out to whoever I want to. You can certainly use those things to your advantage, but you don't have to use those things to feed your own mind, to feed your own need to be successful. I spend a lot of my time, like I said, at home, cleaning out the chicken coop, tending to the garden, going hunting, doing things that folks do. I don't dwell on the fact that, I'm a country singer and that I've won all these awards or had #1 songs. I try to use it for good as much as I can, but it's not where I derive my self-worth from.
You've described yourself pretty well, but you've also said, because I've read this, that there are things about yourself that you, as you put it, need fixing.
Yeah.
What about yourself needs fixing?
Well, I think the thing that always got to me before I discovered this has been, my work ethic on things that I necessarily didn't love to do. I had a tendency when I was younger when something was getting hard, I would give up. And that's something that's really bothered me a lot. And that's something that I've learned about myself since I started doing this is, you know, whatever that I want to do, as long as my heart's in it and my mind's in it, I can do it, and I've really had to push myself doing this because the amount of requirements of, my time and my schedule and the time away from family and friends and loved ones has really been tremendous over the last 4 or 5 years of my life, and it's been a lot of sacrifice in that way. I was kind of lazy growing up. I think my parents would tell you that, and my friends would tell you that, and that's that's not something that I'm necessarily ashamed of. It's something that I've learned from, and something that has had a pretty profound impact on who I am today. I think it's part of growing up is learning what some of your flaws are and kind of addressing those things.
Who you are today, you said. Who are you today, Luke?
Well, I like to think I'm a regular guy. Really, I think my circumstances are different than a lot of people's. I've been lucky enough to have a lot of success and be in a way better financial situation than I would have ever imagined. But, I'm a pretty down to earth guy. I still have pretty much all the same friends that I did when I started doing this. I write with all the same guys that I started writing with. I spend most of my time here at home with my fiance and our pets and working in the garden or taking care of our chickens and, going out and playing video games every once in a while. It's nothing special, and I think that is maybe the thing that draws people a little bit to me. There isn't this big gap between me and the guy in the front row. I'm just happen to be the guy on the other side of the microphone, I really do feel like the same guy that I was 5 years ago. I'm just same guy, man,
Well, I know at least one way that you've changed, and that is you used to be, as a lot of people who sing and are around country music are, in fact, a lot of people, you were pretty heavy into dip.
Oh, yeah.
And you stopped. Mm-hmm. Now, the story goes is your fiance sort of put it to you, said, either you can have the dip or I'm out of here. Is that a true story?
Yeah, it was actually her, she had been begging me to quit for a long time, and I was just too stubborn to, and actually it was when I asked her dad if I could marry her. He was the one that kind of gave me that ultimatum. I'm sure it was probably on her behalf a little bit, but yeah, it's been a great thing.
Did you experiment with the drugs when you were younger, as many young people do, particularly young men?
No, luckily I didn't. My parents did a good job of kind of talking me out of that, and I had some friends, growing up that kind of got into those things, and luckily I was smart enough to kind of distance myself from that situation. It's just I'm a guy that I like to have control of my mind and of my thoughts, and so things like that tend to lead me down a road that I'm really not comfortable going down.
Well, you just turned 30. What a ride you have had. What a ride you are having.
Yeah, it's been pretty crazy. Would have never imagined it. Would have never imagined anything like this happening to me. But I just got lucky, I guess. Right place, right time, right songs that I, happen to write. And I'm just enjoying the ride so far.
Well, people often say that when they're successful, but when preparation meets opportunity, so the saying goes, that's what a lot of people call success. You don't
True.
get where you are without a lot of drive. From where does this come? You obviously have a drive to succeed.
I think it was, I did a lot of things when I was younger, whether that was, I played football in high school, wasn't very good at that. I tried to do a lot of things in my life, and I had been singing ever since I was a little kid, as long as I can remember. Since I could talk, really, I was just singing, and something that I just kind of enjoyed to do and felt like I was pretty good at, and it made me happy to do that. And so I just kept doing that for a long time. And by the time I got into college, I didn't want to pursue a career in, becoming a music teacher. My high school chorus teacher, who is, we're still very close to this day, she'd always told me, don't get a degree in music if you can see yourself doing anything else. And so I kind of took that to mean the only option to pursue music as a career is to become a music teacher, which I didn't want to do. I've never been very good at the technical aspect of music, as far as reading music and composing music. I'm just not very technical in that sense, I guess. And when I was 21, I was kind of, petering out of my time at Appalachian State University. And, I wasn't the best student. I didn't apply myself as much as I probably should have, and definitely as much as my parents would have wanted me to. But I picked up the guitar at 21 years old and had been singing my whole life, and those two things kind of met, and that was it. I realized that this was kind of the thing that I felt like I was meant to do, and the thing that I wanted to do. And I played my first show, and I made $200 charging $1 a ticket at the door, and I realized that was more money than I made at both of my jobs that week. And so then I was like, well, that's all right. If I can do something that I love to do and people want to show up and I can get paid for it, then that's pretty solid. So once I figured that out, man, there was no stopping me.
There's so much in that, and in general, I want to talk to you about. Let me pick up on something you said. You said you'd been singing ever since you could remember. Mm-hmm. What kind of songs did you sing as a child? Were you active in church? Did you sing church songs? What kind of music did you sing?
I was just singing really anything that was on the radio in my mom's car or my dad's car. The things I can remember singing first are probably Vince Gill, Brooks and Dunn, and those were the two prominent things going on in my mom's car. And my dad's car was always more Tracy Chapman or bluegrass, or really anything but country is what my dad listens to and listened to growing up. There's always music playing in our house. So I just kind of sang along to those things. It just kind of came naturally, I guess.
Well, when I was coming up, if Hank Williams or Ernest Tubb didn't sing it, I didn't know it. But that apparently was not the case with it. When did you come on to country music?
Well, I loved listening to it with my parents, with my mother particularly when I was little. When we lived in Charlotte, North Carolina, I lived there until I was 8, and then me and my parents moved to Asheville, North Carolina. In those first 8 years of my life, my mom pretty much exclusively listened to country music. Vince Gill was my first concert, Brooks and Dunn, Garth Brooks, Clint Black. I mean, that was all that was on. And then when we moved to Asheville's a bit more of a progressive city than Charlotte is, and so there's not a huge base for country music in kind of the heart of Asheville itself. And I got out of country music when I moved to Asheville with my parents, just because when you're 8 years old, you listen to what your parents listen to. You don't really have your own taste or affinity towards any certain kind of music, I guess, at that point. And so I got out of it, and then I rediscovered my love for it when I was probably 18 years old. When I went to college is when I kind of rediscovered my love for country music.